Title: My wife said she's vacationing with her coworker. My reply: Perfect, that's divorce time. I never imagined a simple text could shatter everything I had built. My name is Ethan, and my wife Claire and I had been married for 8 years. We had routines, obligations, and the life that comes with years of compromise. I loved her once, fiercely, but somewhere along the line, things had gone quiet, too quiet. It all started one Tuesday morning. Claire walked into the kitchen, scrolling through her phone, and casually dropped a bombshell. I'm taking a vacation next week with Sam from work. I froze. Sam, the coworker she had mentioned countless times in passing, someone I barely knew. My mind raced. I could have yelled. I could have demanded answers. I could have stormed out of the house and never come back. But instead, I smiled. A calm, controlled smile. Perfect, I said. That's perfect timing for a divorce. Her eyes widened, her hand shaking slightly as she held her coffee mug. What are you talking about? She stammered. I leaned against the counter, feeling a clarity I hadn't felt in years. You're going away with someone you barely know. That's your choice. But I've spent 8 years giving everything I had to this marriage, and I'm done chasing someone who doesn't want to be caught. She laughed nervously, trying to mask the panic in her eyes. Ethan, it's just a vacation. It's not like... It doesn't matter, I interrupted softly, letting the weight of my words sink in. If you need distance, if you need excitement, if you need him, then maybe we both need something different. I've realized that I can't beg someone to stay when their heart isn't in it. The room went silent. My kids weren't there yet. Otherwise, I might have softened my tone. But I didn't. I wanted her to understand the gravity of her choice. Not through anger, not through threats, but through absolute truth. That night, I packed my thoughts as carefully as I had once packed my plans for the future. I thought about the years we shared, the laughter, the arguments, the late nights. But more importantly, I thought about the pattern I could no longer ignore. Claire had pulled away, emotionally and physically. Her mention of a coworker wasn't an accident. It was a signal, and I had finally learned how to read the signs. The days that followed were tense, though Claire tried to act as if nothing had changed. She joked, she smiled, she went about her routine. But I could see the subtle distance in her eyes, the flicker of guilt, or perhaps fear that she had finally pushed me too far. I didn't chase her. I didn't plead. Instead, I started documenting, quietly observing, and preparing myself for the inevitable confrontation. It wasn't revenge, it was clarity. I knew where this path was leading. Her excitement for the vacation, her constant checking in with Sam, the casual disregard for our marriage, it all pointed to one truth. She wasn't fully present anymore. Then came the day of the trip. She packed her bags with that same casual air, humming a tune, as if everything was normal. I walked her to the door, careful to keep my emotions contained. Have a good time, I said, my voice steady. We'll talk when you get back. About everything. Her smirk faltered for a split second, and I caught the hesitation in her glance. That was all I needed. She knew she had crossed a line, even if she hadn't admitted it aloud. And I realized how much power clarity and composure held over anger and emotion. I didn't need to shout, to argue, to beg her to stay. I only needed to be unshakable in my decision. The house felt different the moment she left. The emptiness was heavy but not crushing. It was a reminder of the life we had, the choices we made, and the inevitability of consequences. I spent the day with our children, laughing, cooking, playing games, focusing on what truly mattered. The contrast between my grounded presence and Claire's pursuit of excitement couldn't have been starker. Messages began to trickle in from her, short, casual texts about hotels, flights, and the city she was visiting. I replied politely, but detachedly. Every message was a confirmation of what I already knew. This wasn't a temporary lapse. She was seeking something outside of our marriage, and no amount of reasoning or persuasion could fill that void. That night, I sat alone in the living room, thinking about the man I had become, stronger, calmer, clearer. Claire had always seen me as predictable, steady, perhaps even boring. But now, in her absence, my steadiness had transformed into power. I wasn't bitter. I wasn't broken. I was awake, fully aware of my worth and my limits. And I knew that when she returned, the conversation would no longer be about excuses, explanations, or apologies. It would be about consequences, and my decision was final. When Claire returned, she expected confusion, pleading, maybe even reconciliation. She didn't expect the calm certainty in my eyes. I met her at the door, not with anger, not with accusations, but with a quiet firmness that made her hesitate. "Welcome back," I said, my tone neutral. "We need to talk." She opened her mouth to speak, but I raised a hand. No explanations, no excuses, just the truth about us, about where we are, and about what comes next. The house felt charged, every corner echoing with years of shared memories. She looked around, eyes flicking from the photos on the wall to the rooms we had built together, and I could see the weight of realization pressing down. This wasn't a game anymore. This wasn't a minor mistake. This was a life-altering decision she had made, and I was ready to act on it. I explained calmly, but firmly, "Claire, I've spent years giving you everything I could, but your choices show me that you don't want the same. I won't fight for a marriage that exists only in your convenience, but I will fight for our children. They deserve stability, love, and consistency. Things you've chosen to place elsewhere for a fleeting thrill." Her voice trembled, the confident mask she had carried for the past week cracking. "Ethan, I didn't mean." "It doesn't matter," I interrupted. "Intentions don't erase actions, and I can't let them dictate their world in the shadow of instability. The divorce is happening, and I'll make sure they are protected from the fallout of your choices." For the first time, I saw fear, not anger, not defiance, but fear. She realized that her game had ended, that her attempt to chase excitement had collided with a life built on responsibility and commitment. And in that moment, I felt neither triumph nor satisfaction, just clarity. I knew that life moves forward, but only when you face the consequences of your actions. Over the next weeks, the process unfolded methodically. Lawyers, discussions, arrangements for custody, everything was handled with precision. Claire tried to sway emotions, to appeal, to justify, but I remained a pillar of calm. Every decision, every action reinforced the message. Our children's stability comes first, above any temporary thrill. And as I watched my kids laughing in the living room, oblivious to the tension that had filled the past week, I understood the lesson fully. Life gives moments of temptation, excitement, and chaos, but the strength to navigate them, to protect what matters, defines who we truly are. Claire's vacation had been the catalyst, but my response, calm, deliberate, unshakable, was what shaped the future. And in the end, that clarity became my power, my anchor, and the promise of a better, steadier life for our children.